Fat Kid won't be able to be here today because he is currently undergoing a triple bypass surgery. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, let's just say it's a common problem for those who decide to call themselves Fat Kid. But don't worry, he'll be back next week. Hopefully. But till then, this week, don't worry. I got you covered. This week it's Red 2 on Malc's movie review. Alright, so Red 2, this continues the story of Bruce Willis and his wife, Mary Louise Parker, as Bruce Willis is a retired agent, still trying to conform, and perhaps a little too well, as it's starting to get on his wife's nerves, who wants the action. But I digress. Anyway, long story short, the movie kind of throws you back into the thick of things as Marvin, and that's John Malkovich, shows up again, and before you know it, they're knee-deep trying to figure out what's going on, trying to survive as they uncover this big, huge plot that end of the world, da-da-da-da-da. Some things I'll point out. As a fan of the first movie, a little critiques here and there. For one thing, the movie is very quickly paced, especially compared to the first one. So much so that characters will appear, and before you know it, they're dead. And sadly, even there are certain characters that are supposed to be main characters, and their death is supposed to be a big deal, but by the time they're dead, the movies move so quickly, I don't even know if I'm supposed to like them, feel for them, hate them. So it made me lose a little bit of an emotional impact, however. The story moves so quickly that it's very hard to follow, and I'd even found some plot holes here and there. However, and I saw this with my wife brought up a pretty good point, actually. The whole emphasis of the movie isn't so much the plot as it is the interaction between the characters, and that is still very much alive in this movie. The chemistry between Mary Louise Parker and Bruce Willis is very much still there. In fact, Mary Louise Parker is very hysterical as she's trying to prove to Bruce Willis that she's not a China doll, as Bruce Willis is very protective, and she's trying to get through to him. I could be part of this mission too. Please let me in. John Malkovich is still John Malkovich. That Marvin character is still crazy. It's still funny, and you'll enjoy his banter back and forth with all the cast members. Anthony Hopkins, I really enjoyed as Bailey. I like what they did with that character. Even though, okay, this is just a little nitpick with me, but Anthony Hopkins really shouldn't be doing action movies anymore. There's this let's just say one poor part where he's like stabbing a guy with a knife, and it looks like a 5-year-old's doing it. It's just like, it's very unbelievable. When Helen Mirren is throwing a better punch than you, then you might want to sit down. Speaking of Helen Mirren, she's actually really, really great in this one once again. She plays the sniper character very well, whose name, I'm sorry, I wish I could remember, but I just can't. But she's very entertaining. And I have IMDb up because I want to bring up this next gentleman's name, because I can't believe I hadn't heard or seen this guy until now. And I'm going to get the pronunciation very wrong, so I apologize. But Bong Hung Lee, who as his character Han, is very awesome. I enjoyed the martial arts scene, incredible martial artist. His fight scenes with Bruce Willis and multiple guys at once were quite breathtaking. And the character he played was really, really fun too. I enjoyed his materialism in this, which was a big thing, as he just not only does he want revenge on Bruce Willis, of course, but he wants his damn plane back. So I enjoyed that whole thing too. So yeah, I have to agree with my wife. The characters are really what drive it home. Watching them interact with each other, get pissed off at each other. That's that's where the fun lies with Red 2. However, it's just a shame that the story moves as quickly as it does, and even to some other extent, it feels in the first Red, it felt like it was kind of a how to put this, a team movie where all the characters come together to accomplish one goal. But for the most part, it feels like a buddy cop movie, minus the cop part, between Marvin and Bruce Willis's character. I'll just say Bruce Willis and John Malkovich, and Mary Louise Parker just happens to be there. It's not until much later in the movie where all the characters join together to form and focus towards the one goal that it starts to feel more like the Red that I liked originally. However, I'm not saying there's nothing to enjoy here. One minor nitpick that I will point out: this movie does very much feel like like a sequel who got a bigger budget, as they do a lot more stuff. The transitions from scene to scene are done in a comic book style. They have more money for special effects, and to a point where for me, it kind of killed the heart of the story a little bit for me, as it was just generally focusing on blowing stuff up, doing cool wheelies in a car, not wheelies, spins in the car, and just trying to go for effect. But to their credit, the effects were really, really good. I enjoyed the car chase scene, especially at the very end, and any time an explosion or anything happens, which happens quite a bit, because once again, bigger budget. Let's see. Forgive me, this is my first time doing this alone. I talked about the cast, talked about the story, minor nitpicks. If you're a fan of Red, if you like the original Red, and you thought it was a really, really awesome movie, I think you'll still enjoy this. I mean, granted, there was some loss there with the stories, and it moves a little quick. But at the same time, as my wife even said, there's some people I could see preferring that. So, not to wait to just have them sit down and talk things out. They pretty much get straight to the action. In fact, at the start of the movie, the first car explosion takes place within 5 minutes of the start. So they don't waste any time this time around. So it actually works really well. If you're a fan of the movie, I would say give it a matinee showing. I can't really say I would say this is a full price ticket, but I think this is a very nice. I think it's a great movie. I don't regret seeing in theaters, and what's more, I would dare say I'm going to buy it on Blu-ray once it comes out. So good on DC. They did a good job here with this movie. Now, next week, folks, we got a very, very anticipated one, at least on my side. And if Fat Kid was not having his lower intestine scooped out, I'm sure he would agree with me. But the Wolverine. Please, Hugh Jackman, anyone out there, make this a good movie. I'm begging you. As a guy who watched the Wolverine Origins, what was that? What was that? How do you do so many things wrong? Why would you make Deadpool? Why would you create Deadpool and then sew his mouth shut? You missed the point already. And we haven't even gone into what they did with Wolverine. But Hugh Jackman, whether it's a crappy script or not, he always brings it as Wolverine. He's my favorite actor to watch play a character. He's right up there with more Robert Downey Jr. in my opinion as far as playing a superhero. I am expecting great things on it. I've heard good things already about this movie, and I very much believe that this will walk out of this one. We'll say, all right, thank you. We got the Wolverine movie that we've always wanted. We can't wait for the next one. Hopefully Hugh Jackman will stick around, known as he's been talking about easing off on playing Wolverine, but we'll see. All right. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this pretty quick review. Granted, it's pretty easy to do when there's nobody sitting next to you disagreeing with every word you say. Yeah, this was pretty fun. All right, folks. We'll see you next week. Send your get well comments to Fat Kid below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more from us. We'll see you next week. Colonoscopy.